individual?
Discipline is basically self-control and consistency, right?
Mhm.
It is not to control your emotions and doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Yes.
Even when you don't, I think that one speaks to me. The idea around discipline is not something that is dependent on a charade of just speaking English, and after speaking English there is no output or there is no result from what you've said that you want to achieve. The honest truth is that discipline is a very, very practical term. I see, if I want to classify discipline under any category in the English word, I will actually classify it as a verb, because discipline is actually an action word. If you are not doing, then there is no discipline attached to your reality, right? So a lot of persons make a lot of plans, make a lot of ideas, and you end up noticing that you don't have the kind of outputs that you expect. And it's not because you're not a good person, it's not because you're not a righteous person, it's not because you don't have the capacity to do it, right? The Bible told us, shared us. Sorry, I'm definitely going to be speaking, drawing insights from the scripture every now and then, right? So the Bible actually spoke in a place and said that the youth will fail, even the youth will utterly fall, and it is something that happens or will happen to everybody. But the question is, to what degree are you going to let that kind of a thing happen? Discipline is something that is retained and is also something that can be lost, right? It is lost on the basis of something, it is retained on the basis of another thing. Do you understand? So it's usually the bridge between our goal and the accomplishment that we hope to achieve. That is basically what this is. So what do you describe as your goal? Now you've been able to yeah, last month we discussed on clarity, and we said clarity is actually shows us a straight line, right? From where we are coming from to where we hope to actually get to. Now, the question is, how are we now going to successfully get to that particular point, despite the fact that we now see the big picture, we understand what it looks like? The answer is discipline. How many of us have heard of the word deferred gratification before? How many of us have heard of the word habits? How many of us have heard of the word what's it called? Time, mind. All of these are several things that help us be able to achieve discipline. So a lot of persons usually struggle on the idea of discipline because of one thing. They see it as a set of actions that they need to carry out on a daily basis, right? And you trying to just carry out a set of actions on a daily basis, it becomes overwhelming. The honest truth is that it is tiring. I can tell you for a fact. My phone is not here. I'd have shown you. I have almost 10, 20 things that are read on my phone. Not up to 10, sorry, that's the bit much. 7 items that I've listed on my phone that are read. And why? So those are actions. I have an action tracker that helps me keep track of the things I need to do on a daily basis. Now, you will end up finding out that some of these things do not work or do not end up becoming our reality because we do not put in the effort to be able to achieve the kind of results that we want. What do I mean by putting in the effort to achieve the kind of result that we want? There is what we call moving away from the idea. Hi, Crystal, welcome on board. There's what we call moving away from the idea of wanting to do a series of things, right, to actually being in the midst of doing those series of things, right? You move from the idea of being disciplined to creating a system of operations that will help you help you to achieve results over a period of time. I personally, I work with set of disciplines, right? And for every single person, what usually starts discipline is the idea of I'm going to say some things that can help you write with structure that you can run with over the time, right? But for a set of persons, what can actually help them work is something very, very simple and sweet. That particular thing is called systems, right? And for you to be able to start a system, for me personally, this is my own experience I want to share with you guys. For me to be able to start my day, there's something I usually have to do. I need to listen to a motivational quote. Do you understand? So I personally wake up an hour early. So there are persons that have been working with me for years now. And if there is anything that they would love to say about me, I think the first thing that might most likely come to their mouth is that to a great extent, I can be disciplined, right? And I will say a thing. That's why I'm personally very careful with how I speak, because I believe that if I'm going to say a thing, I should be planning to look for a way to be able to achieve that particular thing that I have said. Do you understand? It ties to your Christendom and your godly nature as an individual, right? If you are not disciplined, then to an extent we do not reflect the Christ or the God that has created us, or the being that has created us. I don't think anything speaks to discipline than Genesis chapter 1, right? When the Bible was helping us understand how God was creating, He created day 1, He created day 2, He created day 3, He created day 4, He created day 5, day 6 before He rested. And this time that we're looking at, this calculation that we're doing, is based on our own time zone. We're trying to see the holistic view of how many days it took Him to create, right? He said His days, our time is different from His own. So what we are calculating, He's just giving us a template to the amount of discipline He puts into ensuring that whatever He does is done and done properly. We could also see, right, from this person or from this being, that whenever He starts a thing, He does not stop until He achieves it. Do you understand? I'm sure we've heard from scripture that His word does not fall to the ground without it accomplishing the reason for which it was sent. So that is another example, very big example of what discipline looks like. Now we're looking at this discipline from the God perspective, right? I've shown you guys two things now. Another thing is that despite the amount of turmoils or problems that might happen around it, there is nothing that will stop Him from ensuring that it actually comes to pass. Even if one person is not helping the solution to happen, He takes you. The Bible spoke and said that He's the one that takes away one and upholded the other. So if you are refusing to do the work, He's going to replace you and ensure that the work continues. That is how disciplined God is in ensuring that whatever He has said comes to reality. So that is the kind of discipline that we as individuals need to put upon ourselves, right? As simple as saving. No, a lot of us believe, right? I said I'm not going to teach about money yet. I'm going to teach about money much later. And I want people to first of all understand the basics. Making money is a very practical. It's not easy, but it's simple, but very practical steps that can help anybody from any level you are to become what you've always preached to become. And it has been proven. I have tested the system and it's working, and it works perfectly. Do you understand? So it's something that I have seen over years, right? And it all starts on the basis of discipline. I won't lie to you. When my mates are sleeping, what's it called? When my mates are sleeping as early as possible, I sleep as late as possible. It's not because I do not enjoy the idea of wanting to sleep on time, right? And when my mates are waking up as late as possible, I wake up as early as possible. I think on a day-to-day basis, I sleep between 4 to 5 hours, not by my strength, not by my efforts, right? But it's something that I have committed myself to doing. And it's not because I don't like the idea of sleeping, right? Or it's not because I don't like the idea of wanting to enjoy myself or try and relax as much as possible. But the Bible spoke and said that for everything under the sun, there is a time and there's a season. I like the fact that I'm talking to young individuals. I usually have conversations with young individuals. And I like that part because of one thing. Because young individuals have their life in front of them. So there is the morning stage of a man's life, and that's between age, when you are born till when you are 30. From 30 to your 50, no, you're 45, that is usually the afternoon of your life as an individual. Then from your 45 or your 50 to going forward, you have entered the evening of your life. So just the way we have day and time, right, is the same thing that happens with our age. So when a man has time in front of him, it becomes easy for him to be able to build. and increase. I was helping somebody, I was having a conversation with someone recently, and I was helping them understand something. What was I helping them understand? Every single person has the capacity or the ability to be able to make impact, right? Because to a great extent, even entering heaven, the very first thing you'll be judged on is what you did while you were yet on it. It's not even the fact that you have salvation, as funny as it sounds. As funny as it sounds. So the only thing that can help you be able to achieve anything is the good works that you do. The Bible spoke and said in Matthew, he said that men will see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. If you read the preceding scriptures before that, he spoke about how men are salt of the earth, right? If a salt now loses its savor, what good is it? To be trampled under the feet. So what can make a salt lose its savor? Who knows the answer? A salt can lose its savor if the salt is not valuable. And how do you become valuable? Is when you are disciplined. It is a very big thing. There is nobody in this earth, I kid you not, there is nobody in this earth that has been successful and is not disciplined. You can take my word anywhere, right? And I'll be able to stand by it. There is nobody in this earth, even the persons who we call Nepo baby, or the persons who have been privileged to be born into wealth. One thing that happens to them is that a price has been paid. Even they come into that particular family, some of them have the potential to squander it, right? Those persons, you can tell if a person is going to end up becoming successful by the way they actually pay attention to their time. So disciplined around how your time is being managed, disciplined around how your finances is being managed, disciplined around how you attend to issues, how you attend to problems, right? Your communication skills, your learning, your ability to increase in knowledge over a period of time. All of these things are wrapped up in the idea, right, of the importance of what discipline does to an individual. My aim tonight is, at the end of our conversation, right? Oh, my very good friend just joined it. Hi, Michael. So my aim tonight is to be able to shift your mindset to the point whereby you can see value in all of this conversation and begin to make traction for your life. I once believed that we had time, but I have come to realize that nobody has time. That's just the honest truth. We have very little time to make the amount of change that we need to make on this planet Earth. The more the years go by, today was the birthday of one of my very good friends. I realized you could literally see that what we actually thought was just a short time, or we were young yesterday. Guy, I was the one saying Uncle Mingo, or that's Urobo, for those who are Urobo here. I was the one greeting, good morning, sir. How are you, sir? Now they're doing the same thing to me, and I'm wondering, when did I grow up? I think there was a picture I posted recently on my status, right? I had every single person on that picture married except me for some weird reason. Right? And it just goes as much to prove that nobody has the time. There's literally no time for you to actually while away time. That is the only tool or the only transacting element that every single person has equally. So you will not want to have something equal with everybody and then you are the one lacking behind. And then if you stayed with a typical Nigerian prayer, there's a question they usually used to ask. Now that person where they succeed, does the person have two heads? It's a very big question they usually ask. And then you look at yourself and you wonder, true, that person that is actually succeeding, does the person really have two heads? The person does not. As funny as it sounds. The Bible spoke and said that life and chance happens to all men. So the fact that you are going through something at this particular point in time, you're not the first to go through that kind of thing. Some other persons have leveling ground because of the kind of background they come from. Like I've tried to establish that fact. But what can make you come out of it and excel and even become bigger than that person? The honest answer is discipline. There is no two-way conversation around, right? So I'm going to be walking us through 5 pillars that will help us discuss this topic that we're currently discussing. Oops. Can you guys hear me? Please confirm you can hear me so that I'm not losing people. Are we here?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right. So in life, every single person has what we call choice, right? The choice to do and the choice not to do. The choice to say yes and the choice to say no. One of the biggest issues a lot of us are having is that we don't know how to say no. We have gotten used to it because, and I understand, because of the kind of background we grew up in, we don't know how to say no to it. Once they bring it, yes, sir, I can do it. Yes, yes, yes. It is that is one of the things that has been stealing your time, and that's one of the things that has not been able to help you achieve the goals and the desire that you're supposed to achieve. If I was speaking to students, one thing I would have told them is that the problem you have in school currently is that you don't, that's the honest truth. You don't know how to say no. Oh, let's go out and do this thing. Nobody would, that's the funny thing. We believe because of peer pressure, right? Social influence, right? Wanting to be among or be part of the big boys. The say no factor, it becomes a problem for us. I personally, I did not learn it on time. I knew that I would have gone farther than I am currently if I have learned how to say no early enough. I'm someone that believes that I'm a very hard worker, right? Just get me the job or get me the problem. I don't have a problem going to read about it, right? To come and try and solve the problem. But the thing about it is, if the problem is not in line with the vision God has created for me as an individual, what happens? I am wasting time. And the fact that I'm wasting time is equal to being indisciplined. As funny as it sounds. So the effort you're putting in to try and solve a certain problem, if it is not being solved with the aim of improving or helping you become better at the thing you've been called to do, you are wasting time. And as far as I'm concerned, you are not ready for success. Because you will be like, what's his name? You will be like Peter that toiled all night and caught nothing. You are very hardworking. Being busy is not being disciplined and is not equal to being hardworking. Some persons have their calendar full, but the question is, with your full calendar, where is it headed to? In 4 years, 5 years, if you look back, what are you going to look back to see? Is there going to be a drastic growth and change in your life, right? Or you are not changing at all? You are still in the same place. Mama Iyabo that was Mama Iyabo 5 years ago is exactly the same Mama Iyabo that we're seeing today. Why is it like that? And it's very common in our society, right? It's very, very common and evident in our society. So why I'm pointing out all of this? Please give me a second. Sorry about this. I needed to respond. There's someone that I needed to respond really urgently to. So why is it that I don't know if you guys ask yourself or ask these questions, right? But it's something that I think we need to come to a point of wanting to ask ourselves. What is it? It is very simple. Why is it that we have a recurring experience amongst our youth over and over again? What is happening in that person's house is happening in this person's house. I know that society plays a strong role, but why is it that we have this repeat itself over and over and over again? What is the problem? Why does it keep repeating itself? And why is it that it's not changing? Because I know that some persons try to see how they can come out of it, but instead of successfully coming out of it, 10 persons start the race. Before midway, 5 persons have dropped. Before you get quarter to the end, another 3 persons have dropped. And then out of 10, we only have 1 person end up getting to the finish line. I think that's a very big issue. And that's why we're actually discussing this particular conversation, discipline, today. Because I believe out of this number, the honest truth is that out of the number of persons here, after we've had this conversation, only 3 or 4 or 5 might take it home. But my prayer is that everybody actually sees this thing from this lens or begin to run. Because the honest truth is that you will be wasting time I'd rather you drop off the call and go and sleep or watch something, go and watch a movie and laugh than you spend the time to go through this conversation or through this meeting. And at the end of the day, there is no improvement or there's no change in your life. It's actually a very big issue. So rather than waste your time, it's just an advice. Just go ahead and have fun. Okay. The thing is that I personally am not moved by the number of persons that join a meeting. I am particular about one person. Just though it is in heaven that they usually say that there's rejoicing in heaven when one will give their life to Christ. I personally, I am moved by one person taking a decision, right? And upon taking that decision, they begin to make traction, to make improvement in their personal life, and then begin to affect the society around. It is very, very big for me, right? So the pain of discipline or the pain of regret is what usually weighs on the heart of every individual, every single time. Every individual always have to ask themselves or come out of or discuss this particular two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I'll give you an example. The pain of discipline is what we tell you: yes, there is too much fat in this particular food, or do not eat this chocolate, or do not eat this food by this time. It is past the time that you usually should eat this food. So you eating it now, it's a problem for your body. The pain of regret will be just eat it. It's just one night. It's just today. What will happen if you miss out just today? Or what will happen if you miss out? Oh, you missed out yesterday. It happens. So let's today might also happen. So what's the worst that can happen? Then you will not then add scriptural backing to help you become holy about being indisciplined, right? So a youth will fall. Even the youth will utterly fail. Do you understand? Just pad it up to make it sound very holy. The honest truth is that when we do all of those things, God will just look at us and shake his head. Because him himself, at some point, said that this cup, let it pass over me. Because he knows that it's not easy. Jesus wore flesh to prove a point that despite the fact that he was God, he drops every single thing about him that makes him so mighty, right? And decided to wear flesh to show us that it is actually possible. These things are very possible. There's no time you read in the Bible that you will not then hear that, oh, Jesus have climbed up to the mountain to go and pray. Every early morning, he's going there. Every early morning, he's going there. He's showing us a system of operation. His communication pattern that kept him forever fervent, right? The Bible spoke about him being the only man that knew sin, knew no sin. And then we see some things that were occurring in his life, and we're not thinking that it's a good role to practice. That is full express explosion of what discipline is. So discipline is, for me, right, is our the little choice that doesn't count, or the little choices that doesn't um, change anything, right? The decision we make around those particular choices is what discipline is for me. So the question is, what do you do in a case whereby you have an opportunity to actually make a decision around a little choice? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
Okay,
you're
okay,
back. We
so
can hear you.
okay. So I was trying to say something. I said, what to each individual, that very little choice that you can successfully delay and not do, or you can decide to go through the pain of allowing it happen, decided that you're just going to do it, even if it is not very convenient, right? You're still just going to go ahead and do it. The question is, every single time that thing is posed to you, what do you do? What direction do you make? I'll give us an example of how much water is needed. How much water do you think we need to fill an ocean, or to fill a bowl, or to fill, let's say, a river? How much water do we need to fill a river?
Okay, so I don't think a river can be filled. The thing is, a river is not constant, it's not stagnant. A river
Always
flows,
flowing, right?
right? So if you're filling a river, what's the how sure that the water you're putting into that river is going to stay at a place? So over time, it changes, it flows. current moves the water to like various places. So I don't think a river can actually be filled.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't know if we did justice to the question. A lake, does a lake move? The lake it doesn't move, right? Lakes are usually like a pod of water, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think I was trying to communicate the idea of something like a lake. So something that we feel is well, yes, let's have a conversation on the basis of the river that we're discussing currently. A river flows, right? And at some point it becomes very big, and you're wondering if it was not that tiny river that became this much or this big at this particular point. The question is the contribution that makes the river become that big, how does it happen? Is it that it became big from the onset, or then there were contributions, little contributions left, right, center at some point to help it grow to the size or to the width that it usually ends up becoming? I think the answer goes without saying, right? From what Miracle Christopher, Samuel, and Miracle have said, rivers become that mighty on the basis of the amount of little contributions that solar streams are giving to it, right? And the streams are getting from somewhere, right? So the amount of water you need to answer the question, the amount of water you need to actually fill the river is a drop of water. It's the drop of water that combines itself or begins to accumulate over a period of time that can cause a flow. And then when it causes a flow, so we use the word fill a river or get a river full, because during dry seasons you notice that there's usually a drop, right, in the amount of water that is usually within a water body or a river. So to have a full river, that means there's a lot of water coming in. Do you understand? So it's the same thing that happens around this. When you neglect your daily disciplines, it piles up. When you do your daily disciplines, it also piles up. As funny as it sounds. What's his name? Ford. Henry Ford said something. He said, either you think that you are wrong or you think that you are correct. You're actually correct. It's the decision, the direction you decided that you want to move. Everybody is interested in achieving a certain goal or in achieving the results that they want to achieve. But the question is, what are the daily efforts that you're putting in to be able to achieve that? That's one question. The second question is, what layering of effort are you adding to be able to achieve that particular thing? So that is what discipline is like. See, the thing is, it is lonely at the top because it is very busy at the top. You know that very popular song, lonely at the top, lonely, lonely, lonely. I've heard not one, not two, not three multi-millionaires in dollars say this particular statement. And it's true. These people are looking for fun. That's why you see that they are tilted towards spending money on vacations or some of all these things that we see as waste of money. That's why they are tilted towards that direction, because they've been disciplined so much to a particular point that because of their discipline usually isolates you from certain things. It naturally isolates you from some things and push you towards the direction that you are interested in going. As funny as it sounds, that is the reality of how it works. Do you understand? So because of the kind of people Jesus was interested in, you could notice that he was always getting in contact with a certain kind of people, right? The people that they saw as neglect, the people they saw as bad, people that they saw as unholy. Those were the people he was interested in. Bring them my way. Where is Zacchaeus? I need to sit in Zacchaeus' house today. Where is this person that they are calling prostitute? Bring her my way. Bring Mary. Bring Mary. Those were the persons he was interested because of the kind of mission he was trying to come and accomplish. So that is what happens, or nothing that happens when you begin to put in discipline, and you are always faced with two choices. I tell people, even when you are asked a question, even when you are facing a certain situation, you are always faced with two choices, either to see it as a bad thing or to see it as a good thing. And the Bible has given us a clear idea of how to see things. the things that are good, the things that are nice. So we should always keep our minds on those things. It's not that bad things will not happen, but your interpretation of how the thing happened with what is going to tell you the truth, if it's a bad thing or a good thing. I believe one thing. Every single thing works together for the that love him. I love him. So even if something that people are calling bad happens, I see it as a means to an end because every single thing works together for the that love him. I don't know if you guys are getting. So that's actually on the wayside. So the next thing, foundation is that discipline is not motivation. Motivation can start you up on a series of activities or start you up on a journey. But motivation can never, quote me anyway, motivation can never get you the result that discipline will get you. Motivation is this example. So you've been pumped up, you've listened to Daniel now, right? Now you've gone into the gym and you've told yourself that you want to have summer body before the end of this year. Motivation will make sure that first week you'll be constant. You'll do the gym, you'll do the squats, do the pull-ups, do everything, and it will make sense to you. But guess what motivation does? Motivation dies out. The first day you'll do 50 push-ups. The next day you'll do 60 push-ups. The third day you'll do 50 push-ups. The fourth day you do 40 push-ups because now you now begin to give excuse for other activities that you need to close out, other things. Discipline, on the other hand, we do one push-up every single day and we'll be consistent with the one push-up for the next 50 years. And guess what? That is what a drop of water looks like. That is what, over the years, or over days, that is what droplets of water looks like to form a bucket of water. Over weeks, it now becomes a drum of water. Over months, it now becomes a pool of water. From there, before you will create a flowing river, you will never know. And it's when you are disciplined on a certain thing, that is when you now begin to notice that you can begin to affect people's life in that particular direction. There was a period I was not getting, I was applying to jobs, I was not getting any feedback. I will not lie to you. This one is real life story, right? I'm privileged by God has been helpful. I own a business, but as an employee, I also work as that's the thing. I am an employee, but I'm also looking to build a business on the side. I am not doing it because I don't have what I'm doing with my time, or I don't like to talk to people or play around with them. No, I am trying to plan for the future. Like I said, little droplets, right? I am interested in the little droplets. Is this little droplets I know that can make me a river someday, or make me the ocean, or the sea, or whatever I'm interested, the biggest water body that I am interested in. Do you understand? But starting with a drop is more important. So, what am I saying? Do not let motivation be your guide to what discipline is. Motivation, if you watch, there is a video I should send you guys after this meeting, right? Please, I would love everyone to, if you can, please do well to just drop your email address in the chat box. Someone is going to be there to pick it up from you. And it's actually a pleasure to have all of you join us. I'm going to pick up the conversation again, but please, if you can drop us your email address and your name, it would be very fantastic. We'd love to reach out to you after this meeting because of how much we love the fact that you decided to join us. And we're hoping that this meeting gives you the very best of experience, and you're able to make traction out of this in due time. So yes, let me jump back right into what I was saying. So I was trying to help us understand why motivation burns out. So motivation, I would have loved to show you guys a graph. So motivation looks like this. Motivation looks like this. Let's imagine my hand is a slope. Motivation looks like this. You will jump up and jump down. That's what motivation does. It allows you, the excitement gives you that joy. You will not then jump up. And the expectation is that when you jump up, you are supposed to stay up. But in real life, when it's not Nigerian film, once you jump up, you do what? You will land. That's what the law of physics says now. Anything that goes up will surely do what? Come down. Hope we have mathematicians and engineers in the house, or science students. So The law of physics says if you go up, you will come down. It is natural for the law of what's it called now? For the earth to act against something that is jumping up. That is how the earth works. So far you are trying, gravity will pull you down. It is the standard of it. That is what happens. That's why motivation does not work, because motivation is trying to work against gravity. You are trying to work against a natural law that has been in existence longer than you were born. That is why it is not good enough to actually help you walk. You are trying to work against that particular kind of law. Now, the expectation is that you are supposed to build a ladder. And this ladder is supposed to ensure that there's nobody that will tell you that if you climb up a ladder, falling down becomes easy. When your structure of your ladder is good enough, you stay up. And the thing is, when you climb up a ladder, I'm currently upstairs. I'm talking to you from upstairs of the building, right? I'm not falling down. It's not because there's no means for me to fall, but because the structure that is helping me stay up is good enough to ensure that I stay up. That is the power of discipline against motivation. So compounding effect, like I was trying to say, the small daily disciplines is what help you build that ladder. So your structure of your ladder begins to take shape. You put one hand up, you put the next one. Before you notice, you were on the ground before. Now you are 2 steps ahead. That small win, you celebrate God, you thank God for the efforts, you thank Him for everything, but you don't stop there. Because if you stop that's the only thing that plagues us. Because we've seen small results, we think that it is good enough. We think that we have arrived, right? One of the richest men in the world said something that there's nothing called retirement. Retirement is a myth. It doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. The Bible showed us about God. I know our bodies, we have the potential to wear out and burn out. Very fantastic, very correct. But the question is, how much have you put in efforts to wanting to know yourself, to be disciplined about knowing your body, right? Not to know that, okay, if I do these particular activities over this period of time, I will burn out. I try to speak, I was telling people, having a conversation with some of the persons I mentor currently. I was trying to tell them that I don't fall sick on the basis of the fact that God has done it, right? God has done it on the basis of the fact that He has opened me to knowledge about my body system. So I don't take drugs, right? I don't take drugs, and I will not lie to you guys. But does it mean that there's no potential for me to fall sick? There is 101% potential for me to fall sick. But what has the Lord done? He has now helped me to understand what I need to do part-time to ensure that I do not fall sick. I don't know if you guys are understanding. So God has done the miracle, but what helps you secure the miracle, right, is on the basis of the fact that you now have understanding. It's discipline that will help you know that, okay, I have noticed this trend over the period of time. So whenever this is happening, I should not do this, because if I do this, I'll fall into this trap. Do you guys understand? So those are the little drops that help you achieve a certain bulk kind of result. I'm going to increase my pace because of time. I don't like it when time is against me. And discipline also speaks to ensuring that we keep to time, whatever we're doing. So there are 5 pillars of discipline. I'm going to run with this, right? You can ask questions. If you have questions in the chat box, please drop it. There are also persons online that are going to pick the questions so that during the times when we are discussing the questions, we can pick them and have conversations around them. All right? So like I was trying to tell us, so there are 5 pillars I work with personally, and one of the persons that inspired me the most when it comes to the conversation around discipline, his name is Jim Rohn, right? He's someone that, his name of the mentor was Shell, right? He mentors me, though currently, may so rest in peace, he's been gone for a while now, right? But he has left some principles on ground, very basic, very simple, that could actually help you improve. And from his pool of knowledge, right, I was able to draft out or bring out 5 pillars of discipline that we can run with. Now, the very first one is discipline of daily habits. So you don't just go ahead and start doing just anything because you'll be motivated. Now you've been pumped, pastor has shouted, you will become a multi-millionaire. You have shouted, Amen. Now the question is, after shouting Amen, what happens next? What is the work you are willing to put in to be able to achieve that particular kind of result? Are you with me? So we do not play that kind of a game to be able to achieve the kind of result that we expect. A very big secret for wealth creation, just on the side, is deferred gratification. The day our eyes open to the fact that it's possible to actually postpone the enjoyment that we want to enjoy now, that's the day we begin to make changes in our finances. That's the day we begin to enter real wealth. And I'm not kidding. So success is not a giant leap. You don't jump into it. You grow into it, right? It's 1,000 small steps that you do consistently over a period of time. That's success. 1,000 small steps that you do consistently over a period of time. That is what success actually looks like. Now, the second thing that I will talk about is discipline of time. Remember when I started this conversation, I told us that one of the biggest things that every single person usually have issues with is that they do not master the way they use their time. So your time is actually at your mercy every single day. Your time is hoping and praying that you do not waste it. God is also hoping and praying that the time that has been given to you, you do not also waste it. If we remember the story of the master that had talents, right, and the servant that talents were given to, right, you will understand the value of time. The moment you do not use your time, but you are not using your time to reproduce or to make results, you are like that one guy that went to bury the talents that were given to him. You can take me anywhere and quote me. You are exactly like that guy. And the honest truth is that a time will come, you will not start to pay for the time by being a very good employee. Do you understand? And not just being a very good employee. Another time will not have to come that you will not start to see yourself in the space of not just being a good employee, right? The second one I want to talk about is, see yourself in the space, right, whereby you are not then needing the help of a lot of people, if not everybody, and then it is behind you. Remember I talked about morning, afternoon, and evening of every single person's life, right? Then you now then be, when you are in your afternoon or your evening, it now becomes hard for you to get what you thought you would have gotten easily because of time. That simple thing, because of how we use it. Every single second that we use, we're going to give account of. The Bible spoke about in Revelation chapter 20. I can't remember the exact verse. It spoke and said that the books, the first thing that we spoke about, it said the books will be open. That's where your judgment starts with. It will start from books before the book. The book is where your name is written in the book of life. So that's salvation. That's the second one. So it's like two-factor authentication. That's where that's what happens for us to enter heaven. We have two-factor authentication. So the first one is what to use your time to do. What value did you create? Were you able to reproduce out of the time that was given to you? That's the one that concerns the books. So a lot of things they will check. Okay, you had this number of years to live on earth. In this number of years, how much impact did you have in the lives of people? I'm saying this based on what my own understanding is, right? Relating to works. What did you do with the value that was given to you called time? And that can tell a lot on the output that you have as an individual. You understand? We don't want to work so much on this part of the divine, and at the end of the day, we end up being tossed into hell even without checking. With me, there was no need to actually check if we were Christians or we had salvation or we loved Jesus or not. No. Because of the kind of works that you did, they will just deem it fit that you are not fit to enter heaven. Heaven is created for hard workers, and I will not lie to you, that's just the honest truth. People who are disciplined. You can see it in the life of God, right? And discipline is actually starts from the mind. So whatever enters into your mind usually reflects in the way you begin to react. I know there is a mindset of temperament basis and the way people begin to output or begin to give back to society. I get all of that. But if you are truly someone that understands what discipline is about. Your temperament is not going to be a yardstick to hold you back. Instead, you will look at your temperament, you will explore your temperament and using it as a stepping stone to ensure that you can achieve great success around discipline. And that's just the honest truth. That's just the honest truth. I, for one, I have taken my time to learn over the years. I have conversations. If anybody knows me very well, the only thing I usually ask them whenever I want to ask for feedback, after this call that we're having now, or this conversation we're having, I will still go and ask people for feedback because I want to improve. I want to get better. Do you know why? It's the discipline of it. Even after this conversation, I will listen to this message again. It's because I want to become better. And it all starts with the mindset. Why do I have to listen to what I've said again? What's there to improve? Right? But the honest truth is that there is everything there to actually improve. And I want to personally. So I will ask for the negative feedback. And when I get the negative feedback, I will improve on it. So the next time you guys are coming here, is the discipline that will make me improve on it. The next time you guys are coming here, you will have a better experience. We usually use Google Meet for these meetings. But this time we chose to try Teams because of some things that we'll be noticing that were happening with Google Meet. And it's for a reason. Why? Because we want to see how we want to get you guys an even better experience. Do you understand? So the next one is discipline of goals. So a life without goals, right? Last month we talked about clarity. So clarity speaks to you understanding first and then creating systems around it. So every single person, you must always have a goal you are chasing after. If you don't have a goal that you're pursuing, you can never be disciplined. I kid you not. I kid you not. You can be disciplined, right? You can never be disciplined without goals, right? But you can be disciplined with goals. Or you can have goals and not be disciplined. But you can never be disciplined when you don't have what you are pursuing. It's what you are pursuing that usually gives you the effort to continually strive, improve, get better, try out new things. And before you know, you are achieving results or you are nowhere because you made one of two choices to improve or not, right? So that's for goals. The last one is discipline of self-investment. How much knowledge or how much information are you getting into your system on a daily basis? I have a routine to ensure that I read nothing less than 10 pages a day. It's not because of anything. Normally, we're supposed to think of days that we should have break, just relax, happy, busy, relax. But in the world of impact, it's not real. You add to knowledge. You add to wisdom. I'm talking, this is scripture now, right? You add to faith. You do not stop adding till the day you die. Till the day you decide that you will die, or the day that the Lord decides that you should come home, you do not stop adding knowledge to knowledge. Do you understand? And the three costs of neglect. So there are three things that usually happens with neglect. Number one is what? Neglect starts as an almost invisible thread. Yeah, it's just eating around 11 o'clock. There's no need, there's no stress around it. It's just one exercise that was skipped, right? It's just, it's just, it's just, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Before you see, it doesn't hurt, begins to pile up. And instead of it doesn't, it now begins to, it doesn't changes to does. It now becomes, it does hurt. It does hurt. You now start shouting. And whenever you begin to neglect the little daily disciplines, you pay for it. You pay for it with your time. You pay for it with your money. This is what happens when you're not disciplined. Your time, your money, your effort, other people's time, other people's money, all of it is wasted on the basis or on the strength of just one thing that you decide to neglect, right? Almost invisible threads. As simple as it sounds. But given time, right? It becomes a chain that binds you. As simple as it sounds. So I want to encourage everyone, right? Every day without discipline is a vote for the life you don't want. Um, Joseph I was having a conversation with Joseph some time ago, and he gave me a very wonderful example. So I would have loved us if we could do the exercise right now. Because one thing that usually happens with a lot of us is that we usually like the idea of saying, you've heard the question a lot of time. I went into the future, or I would love if I had gone into the future, what kind of life will I see myself living? Right? Or if I if I go into the future and I notice that I'm poor and I have an opportunity to come back and change things, what am I going to do different? I'm sure we've heard that question a couple of times. Now, this is a very, very wonderful opportunity for us to actually try it out and see how it turns out. What do I mean by this? I'm going to give us 2 minutes, right? Just close your eye. Imagine the worst possible scenarios that could ever happen in your life. That you are broke as hell, you are living in an uncompleted building. Imagine every single, and this is a very practical thing. In the next 2 minutes, let's try it. We're going to come back by three. We're going to come back by 9:40, and then that's the end of our conversation for tonight, really. Right? So let's close our eyes. In the next 2 minutes, imagine every single bad thing that you hope. Probably you have a kidney problem, or you have a liver problem, or you're obese, you're looking very fat, you're everywhere. So imagine all the worst possible scenarios that could happen to you in 5 years, or you're on a hospital bed trying to treat yourself because of low blood sugar or high blood sugar. I don't know, whatever it might be, right? So imagine all the wrong things, or even as far as saying that you end up in hell. So imagine all of these weird things. Now, open your eyes and imagine that that was your future, and God has given you a second chance to come back into time to rewrite whatever you saw and change it. Imagine that now that you've opened your eyes, you've been given a second chance to be actually achieve the direct opposite of all the things that you saw while your eyes were closed. See it as a second chance that has been given to you. And I believe that with this second chance, like everybody who has always prayed for a second chance, right? We will be able to achieve the kind of results that we're hoping to achieve, right? So this has brought me to the end of my conversation.